Today on the Daily Drift, we're going to be installing the KRC power steering pump as well as the lines. Do you love coffee? Do you want to learn how to cut metal? Do you want to learn how to weld? Do you enjoy gratuitous ass shots? Do you love America? Well, this might just be the show for you. This is our new beautiful pump. It's gonna be going in. Basically, got these two spacers we're gonna do, but I need to change out the plug on it. Basically, this is gonna give us a lower flow because this thing is at like a crazy amount right now, and we don't need that much for what we're doing. Okay, so the first thing that I'm doing is just mocking up the power steering pump. Starting with the top bolt, you just run the bolt through the sleeve, line it up with your head, and basically that's going to support the power steering pump to make sure that it just holds it and makes it easier to get the bottom one in. The bottom one is more for adjustment for your belts to make sure that you can tension it properly. Once that's on, you're just going to need to check the alignment of the pulley with your belts. Depending on if you have a short or long pump, you may need to add spacers, washers, whatever you got to do. You might even need longer bolts. We had to go and change a few things just to get it to fit properly. If you have any questions about that, leave it down in the comments. I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Okay guys, sorry I missed videotaping some of this. Still getting used to doing this. I'm used to just working. Okay, so down here what you got is the 3-hole power steering rack for RX7. Now most other cars, it's only 2. You got a high pressure, low pressure. This one's got this upper, the black one is just a low pressure return line. This one is the high pressure line. And this one over here is a return. Basically what it does is when it's at low RPM, it maintains pressure in there. So the GM style, there's 2. You got here and you got down here. Okay, so there's only 2. Basically what we're going to do is we're going to tee these off and just turn it into one connection up here, and then the high pressure line, just it has to stay the same. You have to have high pressure line that can hold it. We're using this line here. Okay, this is just some Earls hose line, pretty affordable, but the key is the PSI. It needs to be able to handle that high pressure. So if you look at this, you can see there's kind of a metal liner in there, as well as the regular rubber housing. So what I did is I measured it, I taped it with some just regular tape, and then used the cutoff wheel. Just cut it as straight as I could. I had to this is kind of angled weird, so I just cut the excess and got it as straight as I could on what I'm doing. So now, what we're doing, sorry about the mess guys, this has been crazy. Hooking up the hose end. So, got these 2 pieces. The first thing, you're going to take this. You would think you would want to screw it in righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. On these, it's backwards. So you go to the left. What you're trying to do, see that? You want it to be flush. That's what you want. So now what we're going to do is, I'm going to take like a screwdriver or something. Okay, so we're going to take this. Make sure this is nice and opened up so it's easy to get that piece in there. Okay, so the next step is you're going to take the head and basically you're going to lube it up with some oil and then work it into the hole nice and smooth without messing it up too much. And then you're just going to turn it on. This time you're going to go to the right to tighten it just like normal, and you're going to go until you feel the threads catch. Be very careful to do it straight, don't bend it, make sure it's not cross threading. It's going to be kind of difficult, but once you get the first couple threads on, it should be easier. You can just use a wrench to kind of help you finish it out, and then just crank away until it's pretty much fully seated. Alright guys, well I learned something today. Make sure you're measuring the right length. So I got this thing all the way hooked up and then realized it was too long. So yeah, so I gotta cut it again. So at least now I gotta show you how to cut these. Yeah, sucks. So get that done. Alright, so whenever you're doing this, make sure you wear good protection. You don't want to get messed up from a blade going flying or anything like that. Chips apart, blasts your face. You don't want that. These are welding gloves. They work just fine for this. They're a little bulky, but I like them. They protect my hands. Really strong. Okay, so I'm aiming for that A. That mark should put me right where I want to be. So just got a regular old cutoff wheel. Okay. Now, if you had something, you could put this on a bench, do whatever. I'm just doing it in the air because I don't do what I do. You can see it's not 100% level. We're gonna make that right. I'd say that's pretty damn good. I mean, it's not perfect, but it'll work. Okay. Careful, because there's like metal and stuff, so don't do this with your bare hands. It's also really hot. But I'm just getting all those little edges kind of pushed down. So I got some of this DEI insulated wrap. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this puppy in here. I'm going to cut off, let's see. What I'm going to do is run this hose to protect it from heat and stuff before I put the end on. So that way I ain't got to worry about it. See? Boom. Protected. Looks nice. Keeps it from catching on fire. It's going to be pretty close to some heat in there. When I'm done, I'm going to wrap this to keep it from falling off. I got some heat tape. But for right now, we'll finish what we're doing. So here it is. I got both ends in there, heat wrapped, tied them up real good. So it's going to be protected. It's not going to get hot. It won't melt. Basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to attach this line and then I'm going to go start working on the other lines. Alright, so there we are. Got the first line in, goes into the bottom, just like so. Get the next one. Sorry guys, camera keeps dying. Okay, so here's what we're doing. So I'm going to be running a T-line basically through here. I'm going to run one up into here and then boom. So I'm just measuring this out now so I can cut this hose to fit. Using this to cut the pipe this time. This thing doesn't have the metal reinforcements in it, so it's a little bit easier to do. Have to do it a couple times, but it cuts pretty straight. So that's kind of why I like using this. I'm just going to take some snips, cut this like fur off. Same thing as like with the high pressure line, counterclockwise. I'm not going to bore you to death with this. So I'll just take that, feed all the little furry things in there. And for some reason this line works a lot easier than that high pressure hose. That was a pain in the neck. This is a lot easier to use. Oil up the this end. And these hose ends seem to vary slightly in the design, but they're basically the same thing. It's just an older version. Ha! Got it. See, once these ones get started, they're a lot easier. Again, I apologize about the mess. I am in such a hurry to get this car done. I've not had time to do cleanup. So, If you're watching this and have OCD or something, I am sorry. I am normally a lot neater. This stuff drives me nuts. But I just don't have time to sit in between while filming and trying to clean, and I have to get all this done in about 10 days. That car needs to be drivable. So I'm running low on time. I still need certain parts. Pretty stressed out actually. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I really want it to. So I really want to race. It'll be my first drift event that I've ever actually raced in personally. So I'm excited about it. Alright. Boom. Now we'll get this one. So now all I'm doing is just repeating the steps I did on the other side. Once I finish that up, I'm going to put on a heat sleeve before putting on the actual screw-in cap of the AN line. It's just easier to do before you do that, because if you wait, it's really hard to slip over it, but it's possible. So we'll get that done and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, now that that's done, we have our finished product here. So this is basically the low pressure lines. The way that it's going to work is we got the two low pressure line, the one on top, the one on bottom. It's going to go to a T and then mount to the power steering pump up top. Now hopefully this should fix the problem. We should run a lower pressure with this and it won't blow out all our seals in our power steering rack. And we should be good to go. Okay guys, this is it installed on the vehicle. You've got your return line, low pressure going down into the T, which then splits off into the upper line, and then also the lower line. And then in the middle is your high pressure, like we said before, runs up to the bottom of the KRC pump or your GM pump, depending, just hook it up to the correct line. Everything seems to be situated right. It's clearing through the headers, doesn't look to be touching. Everything seems good, but that's also why we put the heat shielding on there, to protect the lines and keep them from getting baked. Because you don't want a fire hazard on your hands. That wouldn't be good. But that's pretty much it. That's the install of the KRC pump and the 3-hole rack for the RX7. If you have any questions, leave it down in the comments below.